Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Diabetic Toolbox, where we are on a mission to end type 2 diabetes one family at a time through education, support, and empowerment. If this is our first time meeting, my name is Renee. I am an emotional eating and diabetes lifestyle coach and yoga teacher, and I help folks over 40 diagnosed with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes to lower their blood sugar, lose weight, and increase mobility without starving themselves or spending hours a day in the gym. Today, we are continuing with part 2 of our Beyond Blood Sugar, Diabetes, and Brain Health series. And in this episode, we're going to talk about brain fog, memory problems, mood swings, and the surprising connection between blood sugar and brain health. So, if you have been feeling forgetful, mentally exhausted, if you lose your train of thought in mid-sentence, or if you're feeling emotionally overwhelmed or just struggling to focus lately, then this conversation is for you. So grab your tea, your water, your coffee, settle in, and let's talk about what your body may be trying to tell you. The one thing that I realize about the body, and you probably already know this, but our body is always talking to us through those aches and pains and, brain fog, and it's trying to tell us something. And a lot of times we don't listen. We continue to push through because that's what we've been taught. I mean, I never saw my grandparents or my mother stopped because they were tired or just needed a break. My grandfather used to say, you rest when you're dead, and literally worked until he just couldn't work anymore. And so that's how most of us have been programmed to just keep going. But I want to say that now is the time for you to stop and just become a little bit more aware of where you are physically. Take inventory. Not in a way that says, oh, wow, I should have started sooner, or I should have done this, or I should have done that. But in a more compassionate way so that you can begin to make changes. Some people experience a lot of brain fog or emotional overwhelm, and they never connect that to blood sugar. And like I said, a lot of us have walked into a room and forgotten why we were there. Maybe you lose focus in the middle of a conversation. Maybe your patience is running short and you are irritable and you're snapping at people more than you normally would. And maybe by the middle of the afternoon, you feel mentally drained and emotionally exhausted. I felt like that yesterday. I was so tired. I stayed up much later than I should have. I am usually up at 5 a.m., which means I have to go to bed by 9. And I stayed up till 11. And those 2 hours threw off my entire day. I found myself wanting another cup of coffee. And for some reason, started thinking about donuts. I don't know. But my body was just craving energy. And that's what happens when we don't get enough sleep. For a lot of people that are living with prediabetes or type 2 diabetes, they experience these symptoms every day. and don't realize that it may be part of their blood sugar, that it could be connected. So instead, they begin to blame themselves. They think they are lazy, distracted, stressed out, or the one that really makes me angry, well, I'm just getting older. But sometimes the body is trying to communicate that something else is happening. And if your mind feels cloudy or exhausted, your body may be sending metabolic warning signs, and it's not personal failure. Honestly, I think a lot of people need to hear that, because so many of us have started workout plans or diets and not been able to follow through with them. And so we carry that sense of personal failure with us. Whenever we want to start something new, the first thing we think is, am I going to finish? But let's talk about what happens when your blood sugar rises quickly and then crashes. Your brain, as we talked about yesterday, relies on glucose for energy. But it works best when your blood sugar stays relatively stable. And I apologize for my voice today. I think I'm catching a cold. And whenever I get sick, it goes straight to my vocal cords. When meals are loaded with sugary drinks, pastries, chips, fast food, or heavily processed snacks, your blood sugar can spike. And at first, you feel energized, you feel good, you feel a little more focused. But then a few hours later, the crash comes and you start to feel sleepy, irritable, shaky, anxious, foggy, or desperate for another hit of sugar or caffeine just to get through the day. That was me yesterday. And this cycle does not only affect your physical energy, it also affects your stress hormones. When your blood sugar fluctuates constantly, hormones like cortisol and adrenaline rise as the body tries to compensate. And elevated cortisol can affect sleep, memory, inflammation, appetite, and your emotional well-being. That's why so many folks describe feeling mentally and emotionally off when their blood sugar is not supported, because the body and the brain are deeply connected, as we know, and so they're both affected by not only what we eat, when we eat, and how we eat. Let's talk about your sleep, memory, and gut health. I do want to dive a little bit more into gut health. I think that's so interesting to me, but, that's just me. But I do want us to know a little bit more about gut health and how that plays a role in managing blood sugar. But we know that poor sleep and blood sugar can challenge the way we feel day to day. If we have poor sleep and we're not managing our blood sugar, then our day is probably not going to be as calm and uneventful as we would like. Sleep is when the brain restores itself and processes memory. But unstable blood sugar can interrupt deep sleep during the night without people even realizing it. And some people wake up restless, sweating, thirsty, or mentally wired, while others sleep for hours and still feel exhausted when they wake up. The next day, you might find that your cravings increase, your concentration suffers, And blood sugar becomes even harder to manage. And this can be a frustrating cycle. So if you are not getting enough sleep, or you're not getting to that level of sleep where your body is able to completely rest, then you may find you wake up tired, you're irritable, you're reaching for coffee or soda, and you want to continue that because your body is trying to get energy so it can keep functioning. And we cannot ignore the connection between gut health and brain health, because highly processed foods and excess sugar may contribute to inflammation that affects both your cognitive and metabolic health. That is why supporting blood sugar is about more than your numbers. Your numbers are important, but that's just part of the picture. It's also about protecting your energy, focus, emotional balance, and your quality of life. Quality of life is important. So what I want to do is to give you 5 practical habits that support both the brain and blood sugar. And these are habits that you can start today, and they are habits that will fit into your everyday life. First, what we talk about all the time is to create a balanced plate. Make sure that you are eating protein and fiber and healthy fats, because this will support your energy and reduce those dramatic blood swings. Walk after meals. I know this sounds like, really, walk after meals, but walking after meals, just 10 or 15 minutes, will help your body to use glucose more effectively. And walking also helps to improve your circulation, your digestion, your stress level, and your mental clarity. Walking after dinner can help you to calm down, release the stress of the day, and help you to prepare for bed so that when you do go to sleep, you sleep soundly. Make sure that you stay hydrated during the day. This is something I am working on. I am not one of those people who can carry around the gallon water jugs just yet, but I do have my 32-ounce water bottle, and I try to do 2 of those a day. So that's my goal, 64 ounces a day, and then gradually I hope to increase it. But dehydration can worsen headaches, fatigue, and make it difficult to concentrate. So water matters more than most people realize. Improve your quality of sleep. That's number 4. So create a calming nighttime routine. It doesn't have to be, 16 steps. It could just be picking a time when you're going to go to bed. I go to bed at 9 o'clock. So at 8 o'clock, I am taking my shower, unplugging in my electronics so that they are away from me and I am not scrolling, and just, doing a little bit of journaling at the end of the day just to see, how I'm feeling, and planning my day. So I like to lay out my clothes for the next day and pack my lunch. Just a little bit of scheduling can really help you to have a really nice nighttime routine and set you up for success for the next day. And number 5 is to reduce ultra-processed foods. Reducing heavily processed foods and sugary drinks may help support more stable mood, energy, and cognitive function throughout the day. So, your one action step out of all the things that we talked about, you can definitely choose the one you want to be your action step for today. I am choosing to invite you to take a 10-minute walk after one meal today. Don't have to do it after all your meals, but maybe after lunch, you get up from your desk, you walk away from your station, and you take a little 10-minute walk. That's it. No pressure, no complicated routine, just one intentional moment that you save for yourself, your brain, and your blood sugar. Sometimes one supportive choice can completely shift how you feel. And I know that a lot of folks who are listening today are tired. They are tired of being, frustrated with their body. They're tired of feeling foggy, tired of wondering why they do not feel like themselves anymore. But I want you to remember that your body responds when you begin supporting it. So that 10-minute walk that you take today is telling your body that it's safe to heal. And it will support not only your physical, but also your emotional health. Your nourishment matters, your movement matters, sleep matters, and stress support matters, and you deserve to feel mentally clear, emotionally balanced, and physically supported. Tomorrow we are going to end our Beyond Blood Sugar, Diabetes and Brain Health series, and we're going to talk about how to actively protect your brain while managing diabetes and the lifestyle habits that you can start that will support long-term cognitive health. So you do not want to miss that conversation. Before we wrap up, I have a couple of resources for you to help you take action, because I believe that you deserve real tools and not just information. The first is my weight training guide designed specifically for folks with type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. You can grab your free copy in the show notes. And the second is my 4-week emotional eating and blood sugar reset program. During our 4 weeks together, I will walk with you through meal planning, movement, and the emotional triggers behind your eating, and provide you with community and email support along the way. So if you've been waiting for a sign that it's time to take care of yourself, this is it. Both links are in the show notes. Everything you need to feel better is one click away. All right, my friend, that is all I have for you today. I will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourself and each other. Bye for now.